Yo, what's up, StockTwits crew? Good morning and happy FAFO Friday. Hope everybody has been having a great trading week so far. We're wrapping up the week. We got Michael Nauss on the show. How we doing, Michael?
Doing fantastic. I was
Doing,
just watching UNH crumble here. Thing's
yeah.
crazy.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it. That's yeah, unfortunate for the healthcare space. So we're gonna get into all that. But yeah, excited for the morning. Excited to wrap up the week. I'm actually going snowboarding this weekend, so
Oh,
I'm very
cool.
excited to wrap. Yeah, first time ever actually. So I'm excited. Let's get into the daily rip. Let's recap what we had for the week and some stuff from yesterday. Let's prepare for the morning. Here's the heat map. This is looking like the Christmas tree you like to see, Michael Naus. Walmart down 6.5% after earnings there. A lot of tech down a bit, but honestly pretty mixed for the most part. You see Nvidia was green, AVGO red, Apple green, Microsoft barely green, right? A lot of kind of mix there with Amazon, Google, Meta red there, Tesla as well. So definitely mixed up. What's standing out to you here, Michael?
Yeah, just like you mentioned, this is what I like to see. It's kind of boring when you see big tech green and everything else red, but we got some big tech up, some big tech down, different sectors, right? Healthcare as of yesterday, green, financials red. Again, that's what I like to see because that back and forth in the market to me just seems way more healthy than one sector just kind of dragging us higher day after day.
100%. Yeah, I see some people in the chat talking about Unity from yesterday. That was ridiculous.
It's
I'm sure we're going
crazy
to talk
move,
about
yeah.
that and Celsius. So we're going to get into all of that as well. Let's move on from the heat map. See what we got. World's most expensive zero-calorie collab. So Celsius dropped a $1.65 billion for Alani Nu, merging two energy drink brands under one zero sugar banner. Translation: more pastel cans, more hype about better for you functionality. Celsius's rationale is that Alani's Gen Z and millennial following with broadened reach. They're predicting this new combo brings in around $2 billion in sales by tapping into the same lifestyle demographic, craving nonstop energy and fewer calories. So, definitely, a big announcement. I I was expecting something a little different with Celsius, to be honest. Like I don't know exactly what I was expecting. Like I don't have details, but like I was just expecting something different than this, I guess. So I was a little disappointed there, but I did have some Celsius for the move, so very happy with the move. I already sold majority of it in the 24-hour market, so I'm
Yeah.
really I'm not holding on for it, and I don't think like this is oh my god the massive turnaround story quite yet, but it's positive. So, Michael, I want to get your thoughts on this, and what you're thinking about Celsius here.
Looks like an oversold bounce. It's one of those. It's this thing's been beaten up from $90 to 20 in pretty much a straight line. So I need to see more action to kind of say, okay, this is a bottom, just kind of like you were mentioning. But the fact that it had this much of a gap up is probably going to create some short covering. People who were short on the way down, taking profits. You're going to get some bottom fishers coming in. It's not a gap that I would chase, but it gets more interesting now, right? If we pull in and hold for a while and then move and digest that move, I think it's great. But yeah, right now it just looks like a little bit of short covering.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like it wasn't gonna take much for it to for it to get a nice rip. Any positivity with it beat down
Hmm.
as much as it was, I think
Exactly.
it really tells the story for why it ripped so much. Yeah, let's move on. See what else we got. Alibaba boosted by re-accelerated growth and AI-driven cloud gains. The revenue rose 8% year over year, highlighting strong momentum in Taobao, Taobao. I'm gonna go with that. And and Tmall plus double-digit cloud growth. Management credits these results to improve user experience, effective monetization, and ongoing AI investments. The company plans to keep driving e-commerce and cloud expansion to maintain long-term growth. Here's a little earnings recap. Triple-digit growth in AI-related product revenue for 6 consecutive quarters showcases Alibaba's strong position in the AI sector. And then kind of some of the bearish notes would be the increased investment in e-commerce and AI infrastructure are offsetting revenue growth, creating near-term concerns about profitability. So, interesting stuff there. You got any thoughts on Alibaba?
Very long China, so I'll just take it. It looks amazing. It looks kind of like a runaway freight train. I don't know if I'd be chasing up here on this big move that we had, but China looks great for me. But again, my bias is I'm already long a bunch, so we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, Unity. This was a banger from yesterday. Shout out Shy. He really called the move there. Revenue of 457 million beat expectations, even though it dipped from last year due to a strategic portfolio reset. The successful rollout of Unity 6 and AI-driven ad solutions helped to drive profitability, with adjusted EBITDA hitting 106 million. Management points to cost control and promising subscription growth as key factors for continued optimism. So they exceeded the 432.5 million estimate. Q1 revenue is projected at 400 million to 415. Q4 adjusted EBITDA of that 106 million beat expectations. But the transition of Unity Vector creates uncertainty in the short term there. But just what a move from yesterday. If you're looking at your chart, and if you were in that at all from yesterday, I mean, you had a beautiful day. It was basically just straight up and to the right. So love to see it. You got any more thoughts on Unity?
No, the pre-market reversal on Unity was, I think, the most interesting thing, right? The algos got it way wrong. So when the earnings came out, they tanked it, and then there was a conference call or something that happened that ended up ripping up. So it's one of those that you may have a lot of people caught because of that initial move down that happened in the pre-market. Not a lot of big guys trade in the pre-market, but you get initial move down, you get those guys caught off guard. You could have a couple day runner because of that.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll keep an eye on Unity. I want to see if any strength continues there, because we are coming into some big daily levels. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. See what else we got. Oh yeah, well yeah, 100%. Definitely should be listening to those earnings calls on StockTwits if you aren't, guys.
Yeah, the
Definitely
headline
take
number
advantage of it.
algos got it way wrong
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, Walmart posted a 4.1% jump in revenue and an 8.3% increase in operating income, with a notable 16% rise in global e-commerce. The U.S. segment delivered a 4.6% comp sales boost, showcasing consistent consumer demand and market share gains. Management for your 26 outlook anticipates more growth despite some headwinds tied to acquisition and leap year comparisons. So yeah, recap is there. Walmart's Q4 results exceeded expectations, with revenue up over 5% and adjusted operating income up over 9% in constant currency. And then the Q4 U.S. comp sales growth slowed down to 4%, indicating potentially weakening consumer demand. You got any thoughts on this? I feel like, Walmart and some of these retail names can definitely be a little bit of a tell on like the market coming in a bit, Michael. So I'm
Yeah.
curious on your thoughts here with that.
No, that was going to be my exactly what I was going to say is that right, Walmart's obviously very important, right? It's a massive retailer. It's going to be your best kind of canary in the coal mine to how the consumer's feeling, and how the consumer's feeling is going to be a big deal when it comes to the overall market. So, yeah, I'm interested in, and there was a big move on, Costco and Dollar General and Dollar Trees and all these things moved with this news. So I'll be very interested over the next handful of days just to see if we can get some sort of rebound, because if not, it's a little bit worrisome that you have such a big move in what I think is one of the most important stocks in the world.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll keep an eye on it. Definitely a little bit of a tell on, whether the market's going to come in or not a little bit, and yeah, reset. So let's see what else we got here. Today's top data, PMI data, 9:45 Eastern. So watch out for that. We got existing home sales at 10 as well. So you might see some volatility come in. Michigan consumer sentiment coming in at the same time. More Fed speakers throughout the day as well. And Baker Hughes oil rig count at 1. So just keeping an eye on that. We got some pre-market earnings, VIP Shop, Arbor Trust, Unity Group, and Oil States International. And then after hours, it looks like we have one company, Hawaiian Electric Industries. Very rarely have any companies reporting after hours Friday. But yeah, remember to listen to those calls on StockTwits. Take advantage of that, guys, if you aren't. But anything you're keeping an eye on?
No, not really from the earnings front. As a technician, I want to see the reaction. To me, that's the most important thing. So I think again, like you mentioned, knowing what they said in the call is important so that you can go, okay, did the market react well or poorly? Like what happened with Unity? Those are the charts that get me really interested. And so for me, it's just I need to see the after reaction. I generally don't want to take a bet before.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I'm usually always looking to trade the aftermath, not like into it. But sometimes there's an opportunity like Celsius. I was like, you know what? I mean, I'll risk, especially I wasn't doing options or anything. I was like, I'll throw a little on it, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I can sell it in after hours because I'm on shares,
Hmm.
and if I'm right, maybe I make a little bit of money at the end of the week. And again, I didn't think it would take much for Celsius to catch a bid, and it really did, and
Yeah.
it did well. So happy with that. But I already got rid of it too, so keep that in mind, guys. Let's see what else we got. I think we're gonna get into some charts. Yeah, the Mag 7 ETF coiling for a breakout. Again, though, like tech is just a lot more quiet. Obviously, you've seen the market a little more range bound this year, so
Hmm.
I would expect that to continue. But of course, if you get momentum really breaking out of this consolidation, I mean that's good. And coming off the bullish trend, I would definitely think that would get the break to the upside. But anything could happen, and if you get some negative news, within the Mag 7 names, this could come breaking down. But either way, I would just take it for what it is. It's consolidation. It's accumulation right now. Until you get any real direction going, I wouldn't make any big decisions on this ETF here. But
Well, and what I like about it is that if you look at this ETF and it's range bound and pushing lower, and then you look at the S&P 500 and the Qs near all-time highs, to me that just says, okay, well that means there's other stuff that is moving the market, right? There's other names out there that are actually pushing the market around. So again, that's what I want to see, right? I want to see a market in which I can kind of go hunting and find things that are doing well and not just be in, Nvidia and all these names. So I look at this chart compared to the other chart, and it makes me really really interested.
yeah, definitely. It looks clean, that's for sure.
Hmm.
Let's see what other charts we got. Intel holds breakout level. This has been ripping here, right over that previous resistance. So I love to see kind of for me, that's a bit of a market structure shift. You're seeing a shift in price going from lower lows, lower highs to, I mean, we went sideways and now we're breaking that range high, and we got a strong close over that, and we're kind of back testing that area right now. So just based off the chart, obviously Intel gets a lot of news catalysts and stuff like that. So you
Hmm.
got to keep that in play as well. But aside from that, I mean, the chart is looking pretty solid. Finally breaking structure to the upside. We'll see if that can continue over this moving average. But momentum is great. You just need positive catalysts to continue it, I think.
Right. You needed to hold at this point. So this is one of those, if you got it, if you did the bottom fish off support there, great, right? Good for you. Now you just need to see a couple weeks where it doesn't retrace back. Because if you just look at that chart, it just has a history of let's pop it and then let's turn around and dump it later, and let's pop it and let's dump it later. So you just want that pattern to kind of disappear where it's okay, we're going to pop it and then we're actually going to hold it for a bit. We're
Yeah.
going to, right? People aren't running to say, oh, finally I can sell this piece of junk. They're saying, okay, this is finally a turn. So, fast forward a week or two, and if you're still hanging out in this range, then for me, it's something I'd maybe give a shot to then.
Yeah, I definitely think that's healthy because I mean, majority of the time that you've seen us pop up, like you were saying, you get rejected pretty quick and you come right back down. Whereas,
Hmm.
if we're popping up here and we're just holding price, going sideways, might be boring, but that's also healthy for the stock relative to what we've seen in the past. So
Right.
definitely looking for that on Intel. Let's see what other charts we got for the morning. SUI breaking downtrend line. Oh, this is starting to get some momentum here. You got a little bit of a higher low after sweeping those lows there. I would like to see this really start making some higher highs though. Like I was just talking about on Intel, we saw a pretty clear shift in the structure, whereas you haven't quite seen that yet here. I mean, you're stopping those lower lows, which is great, but I could definitely see this going a little more sideways before we actually get any real upside.
Hmm.
But again, you got to play it by ear, right? If you're getting momentum and it's more shorter term into those previous resistance levels, I think that's totally fine. It's just until this really gets going, I think you're going to see some sideways accumulation. But you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I just looked at the overall chart here, just zooming out a bit. And yeah, it's $3 is support. It's tagged that a few times. It's got a lot overhead, a lot of kind of bag holders there it has to get through, but at least you have that level at $3 that you can lean on. So if I was looking to take a trade, that'd be the idea. Is anything above $3, I'll probably be interested. Break and close below $3, probably time to go and find something else.
Yeah, I'm with you. What else we got? NU uptrend remains intact. This is Let's see. Oh, we just filled that gap, so that's nice to see. That's definitely, I think, a big target for a lot of any longs that were, long from the lows here. They're
Hmm.
definitely targeting that gap. So, um, I'm watching out for that and just seeing the resistance there. But to be honest, when I look at how we're trading in this area, I don't see much fear. I don't see much aggression to the downside. You are getting some breaks of like, previous day lows. So on the shorter term trend, if I were to zoom in, it seems like there's some downside happening. But when you bump up the time frame here, looking at a daily, really doesn't look too bad. Of course, it can get bad, but I just think when you're seeing this kind of low volume sideways price action after an impulsive move up, that's healthy. So, of
Yeah.
course, longer term trend, when you look left, you do have those highs, and we have kind of been downtrending from that. But I would argue that structure's kind of shifted from the lows there, where you have that kind of support zone drawn. But you got any thoughts, Michael, on this one?
Yeah, just the IPO level of this, right? When it first came launched, that was like 12 bucks. So we're back above that. I think it's one of those that if you're above that IPO level, there's some positive sentiment that you can play against. If we're below that IPO level, then maybe it's something you got to be a little bit more careful on. But yeah, it looks good. This thing's gone from $3 to 14, just marched higher over the year. So it took a little break there. So we just need to make sure that that's not it doesn't roll over and continue. That was just that, just a little bit of a break before pushing higher.
Well, that's the thing too. Just looking at that support zone, I feel like even though I like how kind of quiet it is here, I wouldn't hate us retesting that kind of 12 and a half bucks there, that previous zone where we kind of busted through. It would might take a while, and it would kind of be annoying if you're an investor, but I think that would be healthy, especially
Yeah.
if you're not seeing aggressive selling to it, and it kind of just drifts down in the same price action that we're having right now. So something to keep an eye on.
Yep.
Michael, you want to share your screen and throw some charts up? I know you got
Sure.
some stuff you're looking at,
I
and
always
we'll go
have
on and get
charts.
some tickers from the chat as well into the open and everything. But let's see what we got.
Well, yeah, I guess while I had it open,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Because
perfect. Yeah.
I was going through the charts as you were talking, but this is kind of the level that I was talking about here, right? You had this IPO spiked up a little bit, right? Tried that level, and now that we're kind of back above that and digesting that, if I were to trade this, that would be the level I'd watch. If we get a pullback into that zone and we hold there, I would just play against this zone entirely just to see a couple things. I want to take a look at. We got a bunch of things to look at from the chat, and I love that. But we're seeing something, and you can probably notice it here, that's really interesting. So these are all just the top line kind of major indices that I look at. And I've got all my, tons and tons of ETFs that I go through every day. But generally speaking, you get a lot of, right, if one thing's green, they're all green, right? Qs are usually green a little more, SPY's green a little less, that kind of thing. Very rare that you have the Qs up, 0.5%, and then you have the Dow down 0.5%. So this is the UNH thing that we were talking about, where UNH is the largest component of the Dow, and the reason for that is the Dow is a price-weighted index, which I've always thought is weird, but right, it's very important. It basically just means that the higher your price, the bigger deal you are in the index, as whereas a lot of things are market cap indexes. So the SPY and the Qs are based off market cap. The Dow is based off price. So that's why you're seeing this little pullback in the Dow. So if this can recover with how, kind of woodshed at the UNH is being right now, that'd be very interested. But just wanted to note that that's kind of something that we're seeing here, with, again, everything else is doing well today and then gapping up. And then we have the Dow here actually pushing lower. So that's one thing I wanted just to show everyone and just kind of explain why. It's not really, a tech versus whatever. It's literally just that, right? UNH, if we go here in the pre-market, it's just gotten, I got to turn on the
Obliterated.
pre-market, just obliterated. So that's interesting to me because a lot of algos will trade these indices against each other back and forth. And because you generally don't get big splits like this. So because you get big splits like this, that makes me kind of think, well, maybe there's going to be something that's going to happen with looking at these algos either being turned off or broken, these algos that keep these correlations very tight. So I think it's going to be a very interesting trading day just because what we're seeing right here. So
Yeah, I feel like we've been seeing a lot of that divergence too lately, just between SPY, QQQ, ES, and NQ. Just I mean, and that can play, like, for me, that's a big part of just like my intraday trades on the futures, kind of understanding that and when those are diverging and understanding, oh, when one is leading and when the leader actually starts to turn around and that and the lagger is still popping, right? Like I use that to my advantage sometimes.
Hmm.
So definitely always aware of that. And usually though, I'll tell you, like the past 2 weeks, it's been nuts, the divergence between the two. And even, I mean, even into the new year, when we first got into the new year and we had that little bit of heightened volatility, I noticed that's when it really started to they really started to diverge from each other. So just something to keep an eye on, because you know that's opportunity potentially,
Well, yeah,
especially for you
and
intraday traders.
kind of what you're seeing there on an intraday basis is that rotation, right? The
Yeah,
fact
yeah,
that these different sectors are coming alive. There's been a couple days, I'm sure you saw it too, where the Qs are down and the SPY's up, or vice versa. So essentially, just what you're seeing is, right, tech selling off, other names coming up to kind of retake that sell off. So it becomes interesting. So then with XLV, I'm just watching. We have this support right here that was just broken and retaken, and then we have the upper trend line, or up the upper VWAP right here. So those are the two areas that I'm watching, and it's one of those that if healthcare can hold up with one of, I think UNH is the second largest component in the healthcare sector. With that selling off, that's relative strength. And same with, if the SPY can hold up with the Dow selling off, that's relative strength. So that's why we watch these relationships, because it can show you where there's strength, where there's weakness, and that isn't this nebulous kind of thing. What it is just saying, this is where the big guys are putting their money, right? They're selling UNH, and then maybe they're buying one of these things. So like GEHC, I don't know if you looked at this chart in a while, but this looks really, really
Oh wow.
strong right here. So if we can hold, again, we're gapping down, but right, only 25 cents on a $92 stock. That's not that big at all. So I've got an alert set here. So if we can get over this zone, let's make sure I got it. But yeah, if we can get over this zone on GEHC, so this is what I'm doing a lot of, right? You just moments of sell off, moments of big news are really good moments to then look for relative strength. And instead of chasing the thing that is in the news and trying to play that, I do a lot of what else I can look at around there. So
Yeah, I think that's great. Um, we do have some tickers from the chat if you want to get into that.
yeah, so we can look here at qubits moving up. So a lot of these are going to move together. This one is actually kind of the most interesting to me, just because of this DSPAC price right above here. So that's at 13, $14. So if you get there from here, you're already doing fantastic. But gapping up, trying to break out of this base, I think, and I think you'll agree with me here, obvious area to watch, I think, would be that gap fill, right? So you've got
Yeah,
a gap from here, and again, all the way $9. So you're talking decent percentages move just from here to $9. So I would say, if you're in, that's the first area that you watch. If you're looking to take a trade, for me, that's the first area I watch. If we start to see a lot of resistance there, then it might be time to go on to something else. But if it gets through there, then you just have this little spike overhead, which is the all-time highs, that whole D-SPAC, everything D-SPACed at $10, and then this thing went to 40 cents before recovering. So, and then watch the competitors, right? Because none of these are going to move in a vacuum, right? None of these things are going to move on their own. So you look at RGTI and a lot of these names, just to make sure they're all participating, right? They're none of these companies make anything. They're all trying to discover a thing to make the thing. So they're all going to move off the same kind of hype train around it. So it's one of those that really makes sense to build a basket and then to watch that basket. If your thing is ripping and everything else is tanking, that's a little bit less interesting to me, because it's not like your name is relatively strong because it makes more money or has better products or something. Because none of these things have products yet. They're all trying to build something that doesn't yet exist. So that's something that I like to pay attention to when I look at these more kind of speculative type names.
yeah, yeah. I'm not a huge fan of these names, but this one is not looking horrible. Let me tell you. I mean, again, sideways consolidation after a giant impulsive move is not
Hmm.
negative. That's a positive thing. So I think they're looking pretty solid. And IonQ is the better name in my
Yeah.
opinion. I definitely like IonQ a lot better. This is the name I would be trading for sure.
Well, and that's why with people asking about, I wanted to take a look at that, and the reason for it is because this company has money. It actually makes a little bit, right? So it has revenue, it's making money, it's losing money overall, but it's a revenue positive type of name. So let's just hammer through quick because we've got a special guest coming up. CELH, we kind of already went over, but I just want to take a look and just show. Yes, this is a great pop today, but to me, you have to respect this overall downtrend and know that there's a whole bunch of bag holders in this trend. What I like to do when looking for these trend reversals, I slapped an anchored VWAP from the all-time high. This shows where the average market participant is if you started to just, DCA on the way down here. That's sitting right overhead, 36, 37. So if we get a failure from there, that's something that I'm going to take a look at. I've got algorithms queued up to actually potentially short this thing on the open if a certain conditions are met. And the reason for it is just, right, it's this downtrend. You had a big pop. There's a lot of people who are underwater on this name for a
And
while.
all the people that aren't underwater, like myself, that already got out and made some money overnight, we're selling, right?
Yep.
The majority of people, they're gonna take their money. They're not like, oh my God, we're holding this thing forever, right? They're taking their overnight money quick and they're leaving, right?
Yeah,
So,
if you're taking a bet on earnings, often you see earnings candles that gap up too high, they fade in a little bit, and then maybe mess around for a couple weeks and then go. But yeah, I'm looking to potentially take the short side of this again if some intraday things in the algorithm are met. But I did load that up today, and I'm going to play against this line right here. So I'm going to play against the VWAP. If we get there and struggle, that could be an area to watch. And you can see on the hourly chart, we got pretty much right there, and then we've rejected from it a few times. So yeah, we need to see that break and a hold on a multi-daily chart before I'm at all interested to this in the long side. Again, if I had to take a bet, it would be a fade off that initial move there.
yeah, I hear you. You want to bring up HD? I think that's been an interesting chart, and somebody from the chat was looking at it. But I am getting interested in this area for a potential bit of a swing. But I don't know what your thoughts are. We just filled that gap to the downside, which isn't extremely relevant, but I do expect some buyers to kind of step in the area and just kind of hold this trend here. Of course, if we need to go back to those lows and maybe get some sweep of price down there, I'm all for that. But kind of curious on your thoughts here. We've been going sideways. I know it's kind of like a seasonal trade as well, so curious on your thoughts.
What's interesting about HD, we talked about Walmart, and I said, that's one of the most important charts in the market. I would say HD is another one, right? It's one of the, if they're making a bunch of money, if tons of people are going into Home Depot and they're buying stuff to renovate their house, then the economy is probably not falling apart. So this is another one that I think probably lines up with that zone of, yes, this is a very important chart. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head is that, yes, we have this gap, but if I just move this line down here, we have this longer term support zone. And this would be what it would need to hold. So if you're looking for a little swing, I would do just kind of what you mentioned. You get 380, 388 to 380. You say that's kind of that's my zone. If I can get near there, I'll take a shot. The long-term chart on this one, again, looks great because this is just such a bellwether type company that if it can get back up through 420, the sky's the limit, right? A lot of people look at these charts and say, oh, they're so boring, they don't do anything. And then I like to zoom out, right? Imagine just being in a trend like this for a long period of time. This is the goal when we're trying to get into swings. We love something that just turns into something like this where you're just grinding higher and you're getting paid dividends and everything on the way. This is one of those stocks that if you can nail a good price on, you could just end up riding it for years and end up getting profits with no work. That's what we're always after, right?
Yeah, absolutely agree. 100%.
Let's do one more while we wait for our guest, just because I want to see MLGO. Oof, that's not the one I should have picked. Oh, I see the gap in the pre-market. So again, I look at one of these and it's kind of the same. This is like mega Celsius look to me, where there's so many bag holders, right? This stock has never been a $3,000 stock. What happens is it can't seem to do anything to get its price over $1, and you have to be over $1 to be not kicked off to the pink sheets. So it does a 1 for 10 split here, a 1 for 20 split here, to try to keep itself alive. So for a quick little momentum trade, right, you've seen a lot of moves here that have been pretty substantial moves when this thing gaps up. generally speaking, let's say, yeah, 400% move. Generally speaking, sellers come back in. So this is one of those that doesn't report earnings, or it does. Yeah, here, $18 a share lost. It doesn't do so well. It's not a great company. So momentum trade, yeah, not something that I would go too crazy about personally. Just take your trade and move on with your life.
Yep, I agree. 100%. Let's see, we should have Lia coming in. Lia the Trader, you all know Lia, but if you don't, one of the best female traders I've ever met.
Hello.
Let's go. Lia, how are you?
Oh, hi. Good morning.
Good
Nice to see you
morning.
again.
Great
Morning.
to have
How
you
are
on. I
you?
was just saying how you're like one of the gnarliest female
Yeah.
traders I've ever seen on Twitter, so shout out to you. I know you want to
Thank you
share
so
some
much.
trades. What do you want
Oh
to share
yeah.
with us? I know you got some trades that you want to go over and some recaps. I want to see what you've been taking lately.
Yeah, I was just looking at you.
Unity
That
from yesterday was
not you,
ridiculous.
but you, the Unity.
What a
Ridiculous.
crazy
Did
one.
you see that? Oh my god.
Yeah, so we traded it in our Discord because we saw institutional flow and huge shift in term structure on this one before earnings. So the guys were in this for the earning, so they are making money. I am not in. I'm like a little bit with the earnings. I'm like, you know, I don't play it as often. But I was thinking to play the breakout maybe if this stabilizes around the high from December. We get a little gap fill there, and we create pivot and go higher. I would not mind to actually go long maybe on this one, as the volume is incredible. I think this name is turning course. But what else I have? So I'm in Hoot from yesterday because, I mean, besides we spoke about it last week, I own it in my long term, but you can always trade it. This was like a really nice setup here. I saw really strong demand zone around the 55. So I got in at 55.50 and this is my target. It's about 1.9 hour trade. So far looking good. We're up about 4%. So why I got in is because we filled the gap, right? And I really I saw the demand on demand right around here. I don't use only trading. I use Bloomberg terminal a lot, and we established this zone as a level where we could go long if it holds, and it did, and that's why I went long. And I'm aiming for 65 again on this one. What are you guys trading?
Well, I'm just trading Nasdaq, but I caught a little Celsius yesterday.
Oh, good.
Luckily, I honestly like I don't like trading earnings, as you probably know. I'm not a big earnings guy.
Yeah.
Like all that risk is just too much for me,
Mm-hmm.
especially on options. But
Yeah.
with them coming out and wanting to release earnings early, I definitely thought it would be something positive. And with how beaten up we've gotten, I didn't think it would take much for it to bump up. And shout out Shy, he actually just gave me extra confidence on that play from yesterday. So shout out to Shy. I know a lot of you in the chat are benefiting from that.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I just took some shares, nothing crazy, and caught a little move over that last night. But I love
Nice.
Hood. I love the retest of Hood that you're talking about in that gap.
Yeah.
I think as long as you
Yeah.
see some gap fill buyers off of there, right, and you're holding
Mm-hmm.
trend, nothing about this has broken trend really, except for, oh my God, you got a gap fill, right? But you expect that.
Yeah.
Especially, this has been a strong name in the past. You just had a good earnings. So, yeah, I
No,
like
it
it. I think
was
it's looking good.
beautiful.
And I'm
Holy great
fading
recap.
Celsius. So
Oh,
Oh,
Michael,
you
just take
you
take
faded it. I'm
take
glad I
taking the
sold
other
all my
taking the other
shares.
side.
Let's go.
Yeah, I just took
Yeah.
like I mentioned as a systematic guy. Basically, the algo I had loaded up to take a short is just pre-market low, right? Break pre-market low. I want to get in, and mostly a swing trader, but these are just day trades that I'm looking to take. So if this thing can just fade a little bit, it's actually taking profits right now. So it's just one of those quick hits. Move on. I'm not looking for the entire gap to fade or anything, but we mentioned this in the show a little bit earlier, where it's one of those where I think it's just kind of a little bit overdone to the upside. So especially with the big downtrend that it had, may need some time to digest that move. May need some time to just hang out for a little bit before moving higher, I think.
Yeah. Celsius was insane too. Yeah. There are so many great companies right now. I mean, not really companies, but great setups. You can make incredible money in like very short term. And I think this will be the year. You just have to be extremely selective with the stocks you pick and ride and have a
Hmm.
great setup. And a lot of people lost money on PLTR this week and you name it, Hood also. And I'm thinking, why? These were setups you could have made so much money. And the
Yeah.
problem is people FOMO into those setups too late and they have no stops and they think it's going to go to forever. I was actually playing SMCI this week. I was playing Moderna and I was playing PLTR yesterday, but I was
Hmm.
playing it with puts. So SMCI, my entry was 53 right here, green line. Um, that was my entry and we played it. This was my first target, 64. Then I have 72 and who knows, 87 for the longer term swing traders. But the first target hit like in 2 days. And I usually take little partial there, usually 25%, and then I trail my stop. So I'm still in. I'm still in SMCI, and I was playing with shares, and I got 50 strike calls for next year, actually, and I'm up a lot on those. I'm going to keep them. We have the 25th of February. They're going to show all the documentation about the issue that they had with what the Hindenburg research
Hmm.
said. So we'll see how that goes. So I will close the shares for that, but I will probably keep the leap. So that was my play this week. And then I played PLTR yesterday, but I played it with puts and I was actually selling puts. So where I have my little arrow is where I sold the puts when I zoom in on 15-minute chart. That was exactly 10 a.m. I was selling puts. Why? Because just this incredible move we had in the past days. Stock was down 20%. It was in the gap, I think. Let me see. And we had also like demand zone. Just the exhaustion of the whole selling was kind of like
Well, after getting massive
intuitively.
distribution like that, you gotta accept. You gotta expect like, oh, we're
Exactly.
gonna go sideways a little bit after taking,
Yeah.
massive
Yeah.
targets to the downside. You
Oh,
gotta expect to go sideways, and that's where
yeah.
option selling is just beautiful, right? You're just
So
able to
fun.
capitalize on that.
Yeah, so basically we dipped into the gap and we started finding buyers and I sold puts on that. I sold puts on Amazon, Meta, Algo, PLTR. So that was my yesterday
Hmm.
put selling spree. I adjust my trading style to the market. I'm not a scalper. I don't scalp really. It's too fast for me. And it took me a couple of years to realize that you don't have to only scalp and day trade options to make money. But the first couple of years of my trading, I told that it's something I need to know. And I was struggling. And then once I realized, no, this does not match my personality, I want to trade something else. I'm doing really well. But many people have this problem. They think they have to know certain kind of trading and they're just struggling with if they don't then they give up on trading. But there's so many different kinds you can do. And then last one was Baba this week. As I said, like this week wasn't really like crazy for swing trading for me. I took the Moderna because of our scanner. I saw bullish term structure shift. So that was a huge day for me early this week. And Baba, I sold yesterday. I sold 160 covered call. So here, as I was saying last week, I sold 120 call, and then on Friday when we dipped to 121, I bought them back. So I only lost about 170 bucks on a contract, which I don't care because I'm in 300 shares of Baba with entry of 100. So I'm up
Hmm.
nicely. And now I figured this will be time to sell covered calls. Don't you agree?
I'd say
Yesterday,
so.
160.
I'm so
Let's
bulled up
see.
on China. I don't think I'm allowed to talk, but I honestly believe that if we're gonna get, Baba is obviously the leader and overextended, but if you look at FXI, it's just getting to that upward tick of the last time, right? The Chinese government came in and they threw the
Mm-hmm.
woodshed at their company or their country, and they said we're gonna do whatever we can to force the market up. Then everyone forgot about it for a while. So this feels like a little bit of a second leg, and it makes me think that we may break that prior high and push a little bit higher. But again, full disclosure, I'm in an irresponsible amount of different Chinese stuff, so I may just be talking my book here. But I think this might have legs because I think people are. I don't think it's in that chase mode yet. I'm not hearing about it too much on CNBC and all these places that are usually the last ones to chat about it.
People are a little bit, I think people got burned so badly on China and they always promise and they never do. So
Yeah.
I think that could be the issue. I was just going to show you, I looked at the CNM1 is the China money supply index that you can see on TradingView. I was posting it to my Discord this morning. So this is basically it, right? So just that
Oof.
we know, China is really, really growing. And then I discovered one BDTR that was like BTDR, sorry. It's a China crypto linked stock. So this one is on 100 moving average. Nice retest there. We'll see if it holds. But there was another one that I saw a little bit of flow in. Again,
Ooh,
it's
I like that
Chinese, it's
one.
crypto. It looks pretty good to me. It would be worth like a nice breakout trade if we get about the 1596. That's how I would trade it with a stop down here. I personally am giving stops, wider stops this year. Usually I wouldn't do that, but I'm doing it, and it really is life saving and my money saving because stocks just have these really erratic moves the whole year, and you get stopped out and then it goes higher. So I'm being very generous with the stops and rather compensated with less shares and let the things move a little more volatile way. So yeah, that's the one that we
Yeah,
saw also.
I love that chart. I've been watching. So I took an anchored view app. I don't know if you use view app in your analysis at all, Leah, but if you put an
Uh-huh.
anchored view app from the IPO date on that, just saying this is the average price of everyone buying throughout the whole length of this
Yeah, yeah.
company.
I read all Brian's books.
That's good. Yeah, it's that's at like 1350. So that's right below. Also, we
Hmm.
have the breakout point. Yeah, thank you for pointing this one out. I had no idea, but I like the setup you got out there. If you're above that trend line, you get a little bit of a shot there, and then
Yeah.
if you fall below that $15 area after that, it's time to go. I love trades like that where the risk is so tight, and if this thing starts moving, it'd be such a good risk reward.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we could probably make it through this supply zone, and point of control is up in 20. So, yeah, I think this one would be a fun trade. I like
Mm.
this. So it's on my list, on my watch list for a future. And then, yeah, what else did I do? I just got some. I was just researching the whole volatility situation, and I got long-term spreads on SPY for September. And look, don't follow me on this one, but I got put spreads on SPY for September. I got the 390 and 370 debit spread just to protect my long-term portfolios in case we have some pullback or maybe even correction, 5 to 10%, or who knows, maybe more. I don't know. I feel like the market wouldn't mind having a little bit of pullback that's more than 1%.
I would love it.
So I just wanted to hedge myself, and then I got 580, 560, and each of those cost me about 340 and $370. You can buy as many as you want to lower your portfolio beta. So I'm just a little bit hedged for September longer term, and then I got some big calls because the volatility has been really, really low. And again, look, it can go lower. If Nvidia has really good earnings next week on 226, it might be that we even go lower than that. But if we have a spike, I'm hedged. That's another way I can hedge my portfolio. And look, when it comes to insurance, I don't expect it to make money, expect it to help my mental state in my portfolio in case of a sell-off because
Yep.
it's moving much more less aggressive. And if not, then I will just lose the money. I call it like a good night's sleep investment.
I like that.
So that was
That's
my
the way to
week.
that's the way to do it, right? And make them any investments, any trades, just make it so I can sleep at night and I'll be fine.
Yeah,
The-
it it needs to be calculated because people overdo it with these puts and they're buying. They're very expensive and they don't really understand volatility, implied volatility. What I was researching last week, implied volatility on to the upside, for example, on SPY for next month was really low. So it was very easy to buy very cheap 1 month, 2 month calls on SPY. Right. So these are kind of trades I was talking about last time. Also, like EBIT last week, I was buying some long-term calls on this one. It's really important to always look at the implied volatility so you're not overpaying for those options, right? That's what people have to understand. And I like to play with it. It took me a couple of days to find this setup. But yeah, that was my week in short. I wasn't too crazy this week. I was taking it easier.
I
So
think I think I've seen a lot of traders kind of doing that lately. At least like some of the better traders, right? They're kind of taking this market a little differently than it was last year, taking it a little
yeah,
slower, maybe
yeah,
waiting for those more A plus opportunities rather than just like throwing money everywhere in the market, you know? So, and I think you have to be this year. It's again like it's a
absolutely.
tougher year. You got to really be
Yeah,
picking the right names and the right
yeah,
setups, or else swing trading can be tough. So, love
Yeah,
to
and
see
just
you're
look at the
doing well.
SPY there, right?
I
Like
know.
yeah.
that's, that's what until we get a move in some major direction in the SPY, I think that's just the way you have to trade is under the hood. There's a lot of good names, but it's more of a buy the dip, sell the rip type of environment. It's less of just a and I think a lot of traders, especially new people, I kind of feel bad for because they're getting hurt a bit because they're
Mm,
people who started to trade,
wow.
2023, 2024. They were just so used to, oh, I just buy Nvidia when it hits a new high and I make a lot of money. But yeah, you got to be a
Yeah.
little bit more tactical. You got to again buy that dip, sell that rip. I can't get greedy because it seems like if you have a profit for too long, that gets taken from you. So yeah, I
Hmm.
think that's just the environment we're going to be in until we get some resolution. Now, I remember I came on once and I showed a chart from Todd Sowen, who's just great in this space, and he talks about year three of a bull market is usually like this, and we are in year three of a bull market, and it's usually choppy. So,
Hmm.
while this rotation happens under the hood, yeah, I think it's going to reward people who are light on their feet, and it's going to punish people who are kind of dogmatic and won't change when the game tells them they should.
I'm
That's
with
when
you.
people, I mean, traders lose most money after the market changes mood and they are still stubbornly trading the same thing what they were trading before. And they have to adjust. And really, this market is not easy for swing trading. It's not just buy and hold. There will be volatile moves that will scare most of people. And sure, it can go higher, but people are just oversizing as well. And I see it happening all the time. They think things will go higher and higher. And I agree with you. You need to take your profits much faster than before. Like last year, I could have been doing 2 3 hour swing trades, right? Risk to reward. Now I take the money and run after one day sometimes because next day you not only give your profits back, but you're also in red.
Hmm.
So that's one way, or again, like having really wider stops and having more position trades or just selling options. I really enjoy this. I actually bought Microsoft this week as well. At this, I was like, this trend line is holding really nicely here. Let me add a little bit to this granddaddy. But if you look at all the mega cap charts, they all look terrible. Like there's like
Yeah, they're
Nvidia is just stuck, Microsoft is stuck, Apple
just
is
slow.
okay. They're just slow, and I think this whole year will be like that most likely. Google looks like it could set up, but it's still slow. I have sold puts on literally most of these names. Meta also sold off, but it was also beautiful 20 moving average retest, but it's slow. It's not catching up that fast. So we'll see what happens. There's very selective, very calculated, smaller positions, and yeah, let's survive, right? Let's
Let's
keep our
survive.
money.
That's the thing. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like so many traders that, they get in, like even me personally, I've had over the past 2 weeks, just on the day trading side of things, I was having a tough time. And instead of, throwing on 1,000 trades a day, I took a step back and it's like, no, I need to chill. I need to, go back test, go regain my confidence here and then come back to the market when I'm feeling confident, you know what I mean? And when the
Hmm.
Yeah.
environment's feeling a lot better, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, but
yeah, I
look
feel
at
like
the
you need to be able to
stats.
step away.
Like the statistics, right? Let's say in January, I made 15 hours. I'm counting risk units, right? How much I risk, how much I make. That's kind
Hmm.
of my measure of
Hmm.
success in trading. I don't care if I make 1,000, 10,000, 20,000. Who cares? It's about the risk to reward. That's what shows the success. So February, I will probably end with 2 3 hours. Like it's fine because I rather end with 2 3 hours or zero. And I know that I kept all my 15 hours from January because February is usually really ugly month. And then once the market picks up and I see a beautiful trend, I'm going to probably make again 15, 20 hours in that month. And then I take time off when the market is not doing what I want it to be doing. I just wait because forcing it, as you said, you overfry yourself. You're too stressed. You start spinning. people are pushing trades, and oftentimes they lose a lot of money, and then they give up, or they are just really frustrated. And the problem is you traumatize yourself to the point when you cannot trade without fear. And fear is not a good friend when you trade. So I'm just like, just trade when the month is great. If you have only 2, 3 big months in a year and you chill the rest of the time, you're still probably beating the market by far.
Well, and I just can't, again, as a quant, I cannot stress that our multiple way of thinking enough. If you're following people and they're saying, this is how much money I made, well, the amount of money you made it doesn't tell me whether or not it's a good trade. It just tells me the size of your
Yeah.
account, right? You know, if you made
Yeah.
100 grand on a trade, that's great. Did you risk 200 grand? Because if so, it was a
Yeah,
bad trade.
exactly.
And same
Yeah.
with percentage, right? Oh, I made, 100% gain on my account. It's like, great, but were you
Mm-hmm.
just swinging for the
Mm-hmm.
fences on every trade? So for those who don't
Yeah.
know, just to explain it, our multiple is just basically saying I risked $100,
Mm-hmm.
I made $200, so that's two, right, times my risk. And that's how real traders and professional traders measure every single trade, because as long as you're getting above one on a consistent basis, then that's great. As long as you're going to be right half the time or more, then in the long run you'll end up making money. So yeah, if you haven't looked into that, I would read anything by Van Tharp. Is kind of the creator of a lot of this. He did some great work on it. And yes, definitely use that as your bar, because too many people I see traders are using how much they make or lose as the bar for trading, and it's not the move.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
not the
with you.
move
Risk to
because,
reward is everything.
yeah. It was beautifully explained. Thank you so much for saying it properly, because I wouldn't be able to explain it that way, although I'm using it. And yeah, or the percentage, as you said, is just so misleading. People buy contracts for 2 cents and they show 1,000% because they got lucky. And
Yeah.
also, like, a lot of times traders confuse luck with competence.
Yeah.
And they think, oh, I'm such a great trader. No, you just YOLO'd a bunch of calls into earnings and you got lucky. It's
Yeah.
literally luck. Like, it has nothing to do with trading or your skills. And then they get so sidetracked. And then the first time the market change course or the earnings go poorly, they lose everything.
Account gone.
Yeah, I can't go on.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm trying to teach as much as I can. And sometimes like, oh no, I'm making money. I'm making so much money. I'm like, yeah, great. Talk to me in a year.
Yeah,
And
Well,
they
I'm
it-
come
with you.
back with nothing. It's such a
depending
waste.
on when you start in the market, making money can be really easy. Like if you started trading in COVID, that was the
I
easiest
did.
time to make money,
Yeah, that was me.
right?
Yeah.
The question is, can you hold it, right? And that's the
Yeah.
time, we were talking about the market's range bound, everything's choppy, things are a little bit less fun. And that really becomes the time where the good traders stick around, and then you see a lot of the YOLO ones leave, because
Mm-hmm.
they were able to adapt their strategies, or they were able to develop multiple strategies, something
Yeah.
to keep themselves alive, because that fun market will come back at some point. There'll be some sector or drug or robotics or quantum computers or whatever it is, and that will become fun again. But yeah, you just got to stay alive in the meantime. You don't know whether it's going to be 1 year, 5 years, 6 months. We have no idea. And that's what my old trader mentor, I repeat this all the time, I always used to say, your job is to stay alive until you can get lucky, because at some point, right, you're gonna hit a trade. That trade pays for your entire year, but your job is just to keep grinding and stay alive. Eventually you get lucky. And that's what it is. It's that whole Pareto principle, or whatever it's called, the 80-20 rule of, every now
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna hit it out of the park, and that's gonna be great. Until then, I'm just
No.
trying to stay
Yeah.
alive.
It truly is the best because I started also early 22 in March 2020, sorry. And I got really lucky that first year. And some months I would be making hundred thousands of dollars, like I was really making money. And then 21, I lost it all. So, it was just gone.
I'm
And
with
then
you.
I
I
had
I
this
started
huge,
trading in 2020, and then I lost like almost all my money in 0-day options on Tesla because I thought I knew what I was doing, right? But I was just
yeah,
practicing bad
yeah,
habits and getting
yeah,
rewarded for those bad habits, right? And that just
yeah,
creates a losing trader over a long enough period of time. And
exactly.
yeah, it's something you got to
Yeah.
work through as a trader,
But now
right?
look, 6 years later or 5 years later, we are still here. We are
We're here, baby.
thriving. We
We're here.
learned. And, it's what traders need to do.
Yeah.
Learn from your mistakes because that's the best learning.
Forever a student of the market,
Do
right?
you guys trade Fannie and May? Did you do?
I've
I'm like
never traded
really,
this now.
really heavy in this one, like a heavy.
Well, maybe
I
I
am
should be
very,
trading
very
it then.
This is
This is my
Ackman. Is that
I'm
what started moving this? This
well,
Ackman got
yeah, it's
involved?
he's basically betting on like the funny I got long. This is like I was like researching this stock for a while. I actually wanted to get in before election because it was like a Trump trade that I was thinking he's gonna win, and I never pulled the trigger until January 2nd when I literally sold my whole entire 401k where I had QQQ and Nvidia, and I bought for all the money this stock. So my whole entire 401k is in
Wow.
funny in May. And like this is one of those things like yeah, I researched it, but I also got lucky.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm like really chilled because this thing keeps going and I'm up over 100% on my whole entire account. But again,
That is
like, is it my
wild.
skill? I was lucky with the skill and research, to be honest with you. So it's a mixture, but this one is wild. Like, and that's why I'm saying, like, sometimes you just have a trade like this and then you chill
Yep.
because you have a cushion, you made this money. Okay, let me wait. I'm still in, by the way. I'm not selling.
Love it.
I hadn't until
But
recently. I hadn't heard of this one till I was a day trader in 2008, and if you go to the weekly chart, you can see what happened to this in 2008. This was one of the major kind of catalysts in that whole debacle. Right, it went from $100 to like 14 cents, and the government had to buy a whole bunch of it, and it was a pretty big deal. You got to zoom way out all the way to 2008 there.
oh,
Or
2008.
month,
Sorry, I
yeah.
thought 18.
No, the great
Yeah.
financial collapse. This was one of the ones that, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the
Oh,
government had to step in to buy the company. So there was a lot of
oh,
trading
good
done
Lord.
in through there. And then yeah, I just hadn't heard about it for years and years since then. But yeah, it was such a great trader, and then just kind of followed off the radar. So I don't know if the
Yeah.
government still owns some or if they ended up selling it, but it was one of those that yeah, the government had to step in to try to save it because they were backing pretty much all the like Fannie Mae, and it was Freddie Mac, I think was the other one, were
Yeah.
backstopping like
Hmm.
all of the mortgages in America for a long
I have
time.
this one too. And I have this one too. It's the preferred. So basically, it's a trade betting on it to be privatized. And they calculated the price, share price, $34, but don't quote me on this. This is extremely speculative. And as I spoke to some employees of Funny and May, previous employees, they said, Leah, this has been on the table for so many years that they want to privatize it and they might not. But honestly, I'm just riding the momentum. I will trail my stops and see where it goes. This is kind of like my one discovery this year. That I think that's why I'm also smiling because it was a really fun trade. And then what else do we have? Geo. So Geo also I'm looking at. We actually traded it last week in the Discord because it had a beautiful bounce off of the 20. It didn't last too long. Or what was the bounce? Sorry, of the support here. Yeah, not the 20, the support. So we traded it right here. And now it's still holding pretty well on this support. It's the prisons, private prisons, right? So we'll see. We'll see. It definitely is on a support. We'll see if it takes off from there. Are you guys looking at stuff like this or not really?
I've
Geo
never seen Geo.
prison.
Actually, this is my
RS1.
first. But I like but I
Yeah,
like
this one.
you get my eyes on some different names, that's for sure, cuz you're always checking out these names that I'm never looking at. So, it definitely
Yeah.
gets my gets it on my radar cuz I mean, for the most part I'm looking at the same Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, the same crap every
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
no, love to see these tickers though and see like, how you're branching out and finding other opportunity while the market's kind of just mid, to be honest. So it's
You
nice
know,
to
it's
see.
all like this is all trading based on more like logical deductions than charts. Like Geo was a trade that we were playing here before election, and it just flew because it's prisons, right? So that's like I had this whole entire 10 pages list of Trump trades and Harris trades in case she would win, which I was leaning more towards she won. But it's very important to plan it this way. And now, of course, European defense stocks, right? That's a huge one this year. If you just look at Rheinmetall and like all these companies that are Europe is starting to arm really heavily, and their market is forward thinking, so they're already running crazy. But this one is retesting really nicely, and that would be another trade I'm looking at. Or Leonardo, sadly, is FinMe. That is European, so you have to find the tickers in the US. But I am playing a lot of this kind of stuff these days, which I'm just playing based on the situation we have and
Yeah.
what could work, So yeah, different tickers for sure.
I think it's great opportunities. You're finding some great opportunity within a
Yeah,
different market, and then we
yeah,
got new administration. It's different out there, so I
yeah.
like to see it. I think it's great.
And LMT had a lot of flow, so hopefully once it gets about it, so we don't have a bear flag, it could be also an interesting addition. I had traded this one in 22 when we had the war, and look, it's just like whoa, it
Yeah.
just retested so badly. So
She
we'll
needs
see.
to get some
Yeah,
higher lows, higher highs going on there, but
yeah,
yeah,
needs,
maybe
yeah,
a little sideways consolidation, basing out, stop
yeah.
making those lower lows, and then get some momentum
Get it
going back to the
about
upside.
those. Yeah, get about the 450 would be ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have all this stuff on my watch list, and I'm just going to play it by ear as they go. Yeah. Oh
Perfect.
my God,
Well, really good
look at
stuff.
that.
I know, it's
Woohoo.
just continuing. $30 now. Gosh,
Gosh.
beautiful. Well, really good
Yeah.
stuff, Leah. I appreciate you coming on, sharing the charts. You as
course.
well, Michael. I know the
Mm-hmm.
audience always appreciates it. We're gonna wrap up for the morning and the week, but I hope everybody enjoys the morning, enjoys the trading day. Stay safe. We got the rest of FAFO Friday, and then we got a nice weekend. So everybody enjoy the weekend, enjoy the
Thank
time off, and
you.
we'll see everybody bright and early Monday. Peace out, guys.
See you
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.